Good morning. The first time the word dictatorship was mentioned in this history, it was mentioned in a divine book, in the First Testament, the Second, and the Quran. Well, it's not the word dictatorship. There's no such a word existing. But there is a word subjugation, subjugating people, etc. The first time, it was during Moses' time. Before that, a governor was mentioned during Abraham's time, but speaking about the governed people, it wasn't mentioned. There were people living there, of course, but it was just a governor on a government level. This one, Abraham, peace be upon him, spoke to him. It was a matter of dialogue, logic, a logic that government collapsed by itself, just with the logic. The time when a governor and a governed people was mentioned in the Quran during Moses' time. Now, in general, when we say dictatorship, a dictatorship is kind of a harsh word. I don't want to mention it, because all we hear in the world, the empires, such an empire and this, we hear only something good. Good like spreading democracy, this is what you hear in history. We don't say dictatorship. We don't use the word. Why? Because history was written by his story. History, it doesn't belong to anybody. And nobody, whoever is, whatsoever, can tell you what is history except your creator. Why? Because creator doesn't have creator, creature. Creator, creature. Other than that, it's not history, it's his story. So, it was always, anytime you see governor or a government where the individual person, one, is forgotten, neglected, subjugated. That's a dictatorship. You can name it anything you want. Civilization, you can say anything you want. Where the weak people in a government, subjugated, forgotten, wherever, humiliated, this government is a dictatorship. Civilized, of course, as I said, it's written by his story. We call it history. Through the pages of history, ever. When we speak about a prophet comes at the time, how does he find people? How does he find the governor, the governed people? People are not aware of this. He finds people out of neglect, unconscious. Citizens are executed without realizing it. They lose something. Beside the fact that they were subjugated, there is certain responsibility from their parts. They lose, and then what is lost is recuperated by a government, and the government will subjugate them, humiliate them later on. It is a conscience. What kind of conscience? A conscience is, everybody say we have a conscience. Yes, of course, everybody has a conscience. Within this conscience, there is responsibility. So this conscience becomes inconscience, and it becomes automatism, and it becomes irresponsibility. This conscience is lost, or probably is neglected. It is always recuperated by a government, and most of the time it is not like this. It is a doctrine, and don't be surprised to say, was there a doctrine back then? Well, of course. What do you think the role of the magicians? What do you think? They were just like on TV like this? Of course. What is happening, what happened during Moses' time, for most of people, I'm talking about religious people, I'm talking those who have, this interest to learn, the way they take it as an event. I don't talk about those who consider this as a myth. No, I'm not talking about this, about these people. I'm talking about those who take it seriously. They take it as an event. Same thing with Christians. Christians, the way they take about more Jesus' time, or Jesus Christ, from his time when he was in a cradle, when he spoke up to the time of his ascension. Pay attention, I paid this. I say his ascension. They take it as an event past. People of wisdom, awliya Allah, the friends of God, they don't take it like that. There is a reenactment of that event epoch at this moment, all the time in history. Check yourself where you are. Where is your position? Check it out. Same thing with Jesus Christ. Check your time. He is all the time, during his time and this moment, there is a frequency of that epoch, all of it, from when he was in a cradle of the time up to the time when he was taken, raised high by God. Alayhi salam. Back to what Moses found. He, as I said, they find the citizens, it's like a balloon, inflated. And the citizen is full. Full by what? Where is this full? What is this balloon? That's his conscience. What do you have inside? It's a good question. You have 3 layers, all of them. Civilization, civilized, capitalism, communism, socialized, etc. This is, you can play with the words anyhow. A human being is one human being, you know what I'm saying? So, full. You have 3 layers. Which one is first, the second, the third? The first time the dictatorship was mentioned in the Quran was about Pharaoh in Egypt. What did he do? He slaughtered babies. You understand? This is an extreme state of carnage, extreme, atrocities could possibly happen in human history. Slaughter babies. He had a dream that his kingdom will collapse through the hands of a baby who is yet to be born, not yet. He's from the children of Israel, community that he hated, subjugated. That dream he has to eliminate. He gave it orders that every newborn has to be slaughtered. Can you imagine what is this? So Pharaoh is symbolizing authoritarianism, a domineer. This is what it is, a self-aggrandizement. The second one is the one who is protecting that regime, whose name is Haman. He is in charge of the army, all espionage agencies, and keep going. Korah is the one who is supporting the regime with his banking system. And by the way, he is from the children of Israel. Don't be surprised. Those people, they thought he was their lobby. He didn't care about them. He was with the government. No, it's not a joke. He is from the children of Israel. That's what I mean. I mean it. So, what does he symbolize? Beside the fact that he is like financing that system, supporting that regime of dictatorship, he is the symbol of challenge, exhibition. خرج على قومه في زينته, who dares. Now, these 3 personalities are all covered up by the cover-up campaign with the magicians, the media and this. So don't be surprised. So now, about citizens. The citizens through history, they carry the government without realizing it. You tell them this, hey, he's gonna get... Pharaohs on a level of government, the self-aggrandizement, onto people's mind is the self-aggrandizing person within every citizen. The reason why we say Moses is the antithesis force. This word, people used it, Moses didn't use it, alayhi salam. He didn't say, I am the antithesis force, the force against. He never said it, and he never verbalized it, and he never considered it. But it is the antithesis force. When you say antithesis force, that means challenging. Yet, God described Pharaoh, he said, Fir'aun dhil awtad, the one with the pillars. But when he described Moses, he said Moses with the cane. What is this? With the cane, you're going to challenge a government like this? It shows you that one. What are these pillars? Pharaoh, the one with the pillars, the one with, you know what I'm saying? What is it? Is it describing the kingdom or the headquarters where he was? It's describing people. These people can never, the government can survive without, if there was not an acceptance from the population, most of them. Exceptions are existing. When he described Moses, say Moses, وَمَا تِلْكَ بِيَمِينِكَ يَا مُوسَى قَالَ هِيَ عَصَايِ أَتَوَكَّأُ عَلَيْهَا I lean on it وَأَهُشُّ بِهَا عَلَى غَنَمِي وَلِيَ فِيهَا مَآرِبُ أُخْرَى. The man was strong, perhaps. No man can describe that strength, yet he carries a cane to lean on it to show his humbleness, his humility. So, as I said, every citizen is carrying Pharaoh's frequency within his mind with self-aggrandizement without realizing it. Next one, Haman's in people's mind, the frequency of Haman. The ego defense mechanism, that one was protecting the regime. The ego person, the ego, in other words, the self-aggrandizing person, his ego is threatened. The ego defense mechanism, he has to find alibis all the time to protect his ego. That's in the frequency. He is carrying that regime without realizing it. Last one is Qarun. With all the two previous frequencies within a person's mind, he has to go outside to dare you. Look at the populations, they live like this. Dare, a challenge to defy. Anytime you develop the I, in reality, in religion, there is no me, there is an ego. And this ego, you developed it earlier, based on an existence, visualized existence of an opponent. All your life will be like this. So, to defy whatever is the reputation of that entourage, you run after that to defy. Now, what is the role of the magicians on a government level within the person's, these are the alibis. Simulation. To simulate is to pretend to be someone good and carry something good. Actually, you don't have that. You are not good. You simulate. To dissimulate is to pretend not having something negative, which actually I carry those negative things and I simulate perfection. So one is a fake, a presence with a fake absence, one with the absence with a fake presence. Back to the balloon. The prophets, they don't come with the idea of having like a coup d'etat as people today, change a regime and they go outside. He is transporting the government in his mind and he doesn't know that. And they break the barricades and they curse the police and then, they do. And tomorrow the government, they increase the prices and they pay for those prices. You see how human being is ignorant. As I said, he never said, I came for this. Never. He is just sending people to God. That government collapsed by itself. Those three personalities plus the magicians, they were in people's minds. So how deflated, it's not the prophet who did it. How they show people how to get back their conscience. I said they are deprived of their conscience, they are deprived of their free willpower. I'm going to touch upon something a little bit, maybe bizarre. The early psychology that was developed in the Arab world, the Muslims, the Arabian Sufism, psychology is not as complex as it is today. Very simple, because they have no clue how a human being is linked to. They link him to nothing. He's dry human being, and then they do their research based on some symptoms, false symptoms. What they find, and they give him pills, and it gets worse, severe. Just an example, it's not my topic. A human being is motivated by hope and fear. motivated by hope and fear. That's God said it. يدعون ربهم خوفا وطمعا. That's a very normal person. Now, a person, there are moments in our life, the best person whoever is, even I don't know how good he is, how he feels sometimes he's down. He feels being oblivious. He feels being left off, pushed off, even among a crowd. He feels like this kind of, that's a very normal. But what is the remedy? There is someone is calling you. The Creator is calling you to fill in that gap with something. Hey, he goes to the psychologist. Psychologist is going to do his research and then he tells him this is a panic attack. This is anxiety. It was a very normal. He could have left him alone and the person is fine. Then give him some pills. Pills against. Then it will be resulted with a panic attack. Not the first time. And then a panic attack, give him more, and it's going to be resulted with anxiety, and then depression, and then melancholy, and then suicidal state. This is how they do their research. It's not my topic. Gosh, need some oxygen down here. As I said, it is deflated. Now, getting back to how the prophets, they focus, they emphasize the intention. The intention, what is the intention? The intention is a whole, you can say, a general idea about a person wants to do something, self-determination perhaps. But the Arabs, they use the word in Sufism, they say, an-naqr al-azm, they use this word. Western world, they read a lot about Sufism. Don't be surprised. Best. Those who converted as Islam, they converted to Islam because of Sufism, not because of some other groups. I don't need to mention them. They go deep into this profound, deep analysis, deep psychology. So that's a naqr, that's the word it is, al-azm, so it's determination. But what is this? They picture it as an air bubble that pops up to the surface of the conscience, of the water. What do they say? I'm talking about Arabs. They say, some of them, they say, you are responsible for generating it. Some others, they say, no, you are not responsible. But anyway, you are responsible for knowledge, something preceding that moment. Knowledge, information, documentation, and you do things unconsciously under God's supervision, as with worship. You do a lot of things. Then moments in life, you will find something popping up that's God described it. In the Prophet ﷺ, he said, إِنَّ لِرَبِّكُمْ فِي أَيَّامِ دَهْرِكُمْ نَفَحَاتٍ أَلَا فَتَعَرَّضُوا لَهَا. He said, you will have certain feelings, and nafha, I don't know how to translate it. It's like an urge to do something. It comes from the Creator. Be ready for that. You're going to have something good. If goodness pops up to the first surface, that is from the Creator. Respond to that by doing something good. If it comes up, you don't know it. It doesn't have a name. It doesn't have a color, like the same thing as an air bubble. That is yours. If the ambience of the surrounding that pops up with the ambience of the surrounding, it pops up from an organization. It pops up from an institution provocation. It pops up from synthesizing something good. It's not yours. That willpower that will develop after, it's not yours. You have been driven by a flow. So, as I said, those doctors, or they call them doctors of the soul, they focus on this, how to develop this in the kid. Families, how they develop their kids. They develop their kids by using them as an extension to thy, which is me. I don't say people, they're going to stone me. I know. I'm going to become obsolete. I cannot challenge. I don't have visibility among my entourage. I use my son, is my extension. You understand? And of course, for his career. This is what's going on. You develop the kid, you give him his uniqueness. He is unique even in these 7 or 8 billion people, each person is unique. You give him his uniqueness with worship, by doing a lot of good moral values, unconditionally, under God's supervision. Other than this, what you are doing to the kid, you are only shifting him, because the first when he is a baby, he needs attention. You see the baby, if you turn your face, you just ignore him, he start crying. So he needs attention. There is an audience. After that, he's looking for another audience because he is validated in his mind by that audience. You realize that, the running jump that's supposed to come from you when you jump. You jump, you leap, it's yours. This is a physical action. The willpower that is inside you, or the intention, when it comes to the intention, it's not yours. It is absorbed by an audience as a magnetic field of reputation. You are just seeking the reputation from one audience to another audience. You have been shifted. Don't claim, that's mine. One of the Sufis, his name is Junaid, everybody knows him, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, لون الماء لون الإناء. He spoke about the water. He said the water doesn't have a color. The color of the water is from the container, and the form of the water is the container. If it pops up to the surface of your conscience, doesn't have a color, doesn't have a name, doesn't have anything of parenthood, whatever, that's yours. Now, getting back to Moses alayhi salam, this force that is deflated by eliminating the frequencies, deflated, he didn't say anything. He's teaching people what they do. By maintaining the state of humility, worshipping God, pharaonic frequency will disappear. By being just, loyal, by eliminating this, eliminates the ego defense mechanism from Haman. Why you defy people? The families, they raise their kids with the challenge. Be careful, don't be like him. You are better than him. So he grows, or he grows up. Always he has a competitor. It's not a competitor, a challenger. A challenger. He develops something just based on a challenger. These are all negative vibes. Once the balloon gets deflated completely, the kids start developing, that's the first one, is centripetal force. It's not a force. It's coming from the periphery, and then it gets deflated. That's why a lot of people rejected the divine message, because, hey, I'm losing my reputation. I'm losing my interest. I'm losing my rank, because he is a juvenile. Others, they realize that this is the residence of anxiety. They feel relief. They don't know how to explain it. They feel relief. My God, it's a harmony. Now I'm in contact with me, with God. I don't know, I'm with nature. I feel everything. But before, I didn't even feel myself. So it gets deflated, and then it gets developed back. Centrifugal, but without condition, without a predisposed agenda, predetermined agenda. It's not, I want you to do this or such. No, it gets developed by itself. Listen, I don't want to go far. I thank you very much for your attention, and I see you soon.